What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 19 of Sports Card Talk. We got Shaya in the house on this beautiful Sunday morning. We got Coleman cards in the house after a nice day yesterday of buying, selling, and trading at the Fullerton show. And we have a very special guest, a good buddy of mine, Geneux from Card Talk Pod. Shout out 1:37 p.m. Shout out Card Talk Pod. Welcome, Lou.
Hello, gentlemen. Good morning.
What were your initial thoughts when you woke up today and you said, "Wow, today I'm going to be on Sports Card Talk"? How are the emotions flowing? Just give me a play-by-play.
Yeah. So I woke up and at first I was really nervous, right? I said to myself, all right, I really need to impress Shaya. And then I thought to myself, wow, this is taking way too long. And Sasha hasn't invited me. So first it was excitement, then it was anger. And then I was like, all right, I got to focus in.
I love it. Shaya's been begging me, pleading me, being like, please get Lou on the pod so I can go at him. So Shaya, how are you feeling that Lou is now on the pod for today?
I think it's his time to shine. I think this is a life-changing moment for him, and I think it could go very well or very poorly.
Interesting. Interesting.
Well, I want to get into it right away because Coleman and I were at the Fullerton show yesterday. And the last couple shows we've been to, everybody's going after, Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, right? Those are the guys that everybody's looking towards. Yesterday's show is really interesting though, because right when we got in, it still had that effect of Michael Jordan, Kobe, but you saw that people were starting to look at, cheaper players that they thought had room. Guys like AD, even Luka, Kawhi. So how are you guys kind of feeling about where the market is at? Do you think that modern, market will be seeing a comeback, or at least, people may be looking towards the playoffs and saying, hey, what guys are going to shine? So how are you guys kind of feeling with all that in your current investment plays right now? And whoever wants to jump in first can go ahead.
So I'm a Luka guy myself. So I'm always looking at Luka stuff. And, last year it was there was four dudes that basically were as good as gold. And it was MJ, Kobe, LeBron, and Luka, which is kind of weird, but it was Luka. And so now that people have kind of loosened their death grip on Luka cards, I just make a couple of plays and grab some just because one, I'm a Luka collector, but also two, I see some opportunity if Luka does start to, gain some traction in the MVP race and the Mavericks are able to turn it around. I think there's opportunity there. But I think just for young guys in general and anybody that's not named MJ, Kobe, and LeBron, there's going to be some opportunity leading up to the playoffs as the playoff seeds start to separate from the pack and people start to understand who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to be able to maybe make a run, and they see opportunities to pick up some of the guys there.
Shaya?
I'll go ahead. I've been talking about this for the past couple episodes, I believe. Obviously, a lot of people are getting priced out the GOATs, and I am not paying these prices for the GOATs. I refuse to. So I definitely see Modern getting a rebound. But I do think if Modern were to rebound, the price growth per card is going to be very dependent on how many there are out there, the population. I think a lot of people have realized how many there are, and I think that is why I think the growth of base Prism PS10s, especially from recent years, could be limited. I'm not saying it can't go up. I'm saying don't expect Luka to go from 1,400 to 2,500 if the Mavs turn it around or whatever. It's possible. I doubt it. But I definitely see a Modern rebound regarding earlier years of Prism, players that are performing in playoff contention. Also Prism Color. I think Prism Color, we had that whole run up of Prism Color. Now we've had a dip because all young guys have really pretty much dipped. So I think we could definitely see a run up in the Modern and less buying of the GOATs just because of the price. And you can't watch them play anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think inevitably they were going to come back, right? Because the people felt that the GOATs were underpriced, and now they've run up like crazy. I think there's guys that are going to be in the mix. To me, I don't understand how someone like Donovan Mitchell his cards don't sell better.
Shai is a big Donovan Mitchell guy.
At the moment, I don't understand how Donovan Mitchell, the point guard for the the leading player for the best team in the West, isn't doesn't have higher performing cards at the moment. So like guys like him, everybody's favorite Devin Booker, Giannis, like those guys to me are primed for a jump if they're going to really compete in the playoffs. And if the Jazz and the Suns have a really good playoff series, that's going to be great for modern cards. So that's where I'm thinking.
Do we think right now, like I was talking to Ryan yesterday from Burbank, and he said, dude, I've been picking up Luka base 10s at $1,000, $1,100. To me, that seems like the floor. Like I might be wrong, it could go down to 700, but to me, I just don't see that card going below $1,000. And I just think that, like Luka's been playing extremely well. Like look what happened against the Pelicans. Like I feel like the hobby all expects that stuff to see a push. And I think that's what we're all kind of getting at right now, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's inevitable. I just feel this inevitable. I'm going to wake up one morning and it's going to be like Luka goes from 1,300 to 1,400 to 1,600 in like 3 days.
Yeah. I just don't think like, a lot of people talk about, hey, like, the GOATs were always undervalued. Now we're getting to a point where, they're really starting to shine. And you have collectors that are like, oh, the modern stuff shouldn't be worth shit. But like at the end of the day, like I don't think the industry would function if the modern stuff wasn't worth anything in this current market, right?
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about like Luka Prism base and stuff, like, look, gentlemen like us, well, I'm not a gentleman, but gentlemen like you, of course, we're going to look at Luka Prism base and say, we don't want that card. We want something else that's rare or whatever. But at the end of the day, there are people that are entering this hobby right now. They have no idea what cards to buy. And they're being guided towards what is the most liquid, the most standard version of that player's issue. And for Luka, it is the Prism-based PSA 10. Yes, there's 15,000 in the pop. It's going to go up. It's going to continue to go up. So long term, I don't know about that card. But to think that card's not going to ebb and flow and go up and down and sideways and stuff like that, to me is ludicrous. So at 1,000, 1,100, it feels like it could be a floor. Could it go down more? Sure. But like, as people want that card because Luka's playing well or the Mavericks are playing well or playoffs or whatever, that card is going to go up as demand goes up for a Luka card as an entry level card.
Coleman, do you think if Shaya, I know you're very adamant that the LeBron Topps Chrome 111 PSA 10s are overpriced right now, correct?
I do believe that, yes.
Okay. So Coleman, my question to you is do you think if Shaya was at that show yesterday, it would have changed his perspective?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah. Simple answer. Because you can literally see the people that are walking through the door. You can see the hour-and-a-half line to get into the place of all the different people that are coming in from every different walk, from people that are working as a barista at Starbucks to people that are pulling up in like, $100,000 cars and coming in and just buying cards. So, I mean, there's all different levels to it and everything. And the demand for these LeBron Topps Chrome PSA 10s, Kobe Topps Chrome PSA 10s, it's a real demand. It's there. And these people are willing to spend that money because they're not trying to buy it so it goes up by double in a month and then flip it. They're buying it because they're just trying to sock away money somewhere into a good asset class. And this is a burgeoning asset class right now. And it's popular and it's hot. And it's cool because every time LeBron James goes out and breaks another milestone, which is, by the way, every game he plays, basically, then you get to experience some of that joy with the card.
Shaya, what would you say if I told you 1 year from today, the LeBron Topps Chrome 10 was $75,000?
I think that's crazy.
Why do you think it's crazy?
Huh?
Why do you think it's crazy?
I don't think, first of all, I would never pay $75K for that card. And I'm not even considering paying $40K for the card now. It it doesn't even cross my mind. Over the long run, I do think I'm not saying that the LeBron Chrome shouldn't be an iconic card. It shouldn't be $50K in the future. I'm just saying it went up so much, so fast, that I think it's just crazy to me. And we're seeing this all across the board with the GOATs. We're seeing this with the Star Date. We're seeing this with the Kobe Chromes. We're seeing this with the MJ Fleer. So I don't know. I'm personally I'm not purchasing them. I got offered a 9.5 at a very fair price. I passed. I got offered a BGS 8.5 MJ. I don't want to be stuck with the hot potato. I talked about this last episode. Until I truly believe that, okay, it's not going any lower. This is where it's at. It's only going to go up from here. And I truly want the card for wherever it may be. It may be short-term, mid-term, long-term. If I'm planning on stashing, whatever my intention is, then maybe I'll hop on the boat. But right now, that is not how I feel towards that particular group of cards.
That's fair.
Shaya, do you think one of the reasonings why you feel that way is because you were somebody who saw that card at, $1,000, $2,000, like you saw it at that price, and now like you're looking at it and it's like, whoa, a LeBron James, Topps Chrome 111 PSA 10 is $40,000. 2 years ago, that was $1,000 card. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Do you think that kind of like goes into your consideration?
It definitely plays a role. I don't look at it from that far of a scope though.
Okay.
Obviously everything was so cheap. Like Luka Prism PSA 10s, when those were 1,000, were like 50, 60, and that's when Sasha was picking them up and stashing them. I more as look at it from the summertime when they were around 15K, then they dropped to around 10, 12, I believe. And then
even not even like at shows, you could probably scoop them at like 9 even.
Depending on the label,
Yeah.
I remember people prefer the newer versus the older. And then we saw this steady growth, and then suddenly it was back up to 15, then it hit 20, then it sustained, and then there was that one auction, Probstein or PWCC, and then it just set the rocket flying.
Yeah.
So my point of view is I've seen this whole, what's happened within this whole 1 to 2 years, and I see it, and it just I'm not saying that's a bad card. LeBron James is one of the best players to ever play. That is his card. It's much like the Luka based Prism PSA 10. It's like the card. Population and all those different things are different, but I'm just not paying 40K for that card at the moment. Just what I'm at.
It was interesting because on Friday, Burbank actually ended up getting in a LeBron Chrome 10, and I like traded into it, and I was like, holy shit, I just traded in this card at like a 40K evaluation. Like this is crazy to me. You know what I mean? Because like you, Shai, I bought that card like at 1,800, 2,000, like 5,000, 7,000, and now I'm getting into it at 40K. It just seems surreal to me. So then in my plan with that card from the beginning was to be able to flip it and work it into something else. I put it out at the show yesterday. Coleman was set up with me, and Coleman will tell you there's like 4 or 5 people that are like, got my number. They're like, oh, I want the card, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, like that show. And the people that were buying that card, like Coleman was saying, very like wealthy, like 35 to 45 range, like kind of hip guys. Even a real estate guy, like a guy texted me and then he sent me his business card, and it was like, he was in real estate. I was like, wow, this is like really interesting. The types of people that are buying this card. And you can tell, like Coleman was saying, they're not in it to sell it at 45, and they're not in it if it goes down 20% to sell it, at 25 or 30. They're like really just want the card as more of a showing off, like that they have the card perspective. And Lou, I know like you're like into that world. Like, what are you seeing with like the people that maybe are hitting you up and like, hey, I want like LeBron Chrome 10s. Like, what are the types of people that are not even just buying LeBron Chrome 10s, but the high end of Kobe, Jordan, LeBron? Like, are those people like looking to flip it? Or are they just wanting it to want it? Or like what's kind of going down there?
No, I think it's not even necessarily people I'm talking to, right? Like I think we see it more and more every day. It's more of the people who, in the same way that if I bought a Luka today for 1,300 and then it was down to 900, I'd be fine because I feel fine about that card to rebound at some point in the future. Like when Shaya was saying like I wouldn't buy it at 40, like would you buy it when it goes down to 30? Would you buy it at 25? Because then it's a rebound state, you know what I mean? Like, so I to me, like when I talk to people, it's more like, yeah, like why would I it's more of why would I mess around with other stuff as opposed to buying the best players? When you have a much higher bankroll than I have and Shaya has and Coleman has, maybe not Sasha, but everybody else here has. you're playing a different game, right? Like it's more money, and you could be a lot safer. There's not many things safer in cards to me than a LeBron Topps Chrome 10.
Yeah.
For a 1 to 5 year window.
Well, and for somebody that's just like, I want to get into this, I have
they're gonna
X
get a
amount
LeBron
of money,
Chrome
and it exactly.
Or Kobe.
And like, do you think, like we were at Dallas, and I think that's where you kind of like really got into the auto, like exquisite, like you really like
changed my life.
You put in work, like you educated. Like, how are you feeling about that market currently right now?
I would say I'm feeling really good about it because it's hard. It's really fun to try to figure out what is actually good and what's a good price, and actually negotiating. Like, you really don't have to negotiate when you're buying like base cards and color. Like, you have a pretty good idea of what those cards cost. When you get into a card that's like 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, like it's very hard to come up with comps. And then it's like, how comfortable am I buying this card for 30 to 40 to 50% over the last sale? Like, you have to feel pretty strongly about the card. And then it's all like narrative, and we talked about this a little bit, Sasha. It's like narrative, and like the story of the card is what drives it, not so much the marketplace. Because when it goes out is the first time I come out in like a year and a half in a public market.
Yeah,
that's happened several times to me now.
And Coleman, like me and you yesterday when we got some food after, like we were with a couple like really knowledgeable guys in the hobby, and we're having conversations about alt and collectibles, and like we're hearing, oh yeah, they're putting $1 million into this, or like they have like 4 famous people that like invested in the company or invested in these cards, and it's all seems to be like very high-end stuff where it's like supply and demand. I also heard recently that there's one of these fractional ownership companies that are actually going to be displaying their cards, like kind of like a museum type. I believe Eric told me that. Like, is that like where we're going? Like, is that like what the industry will be kind of known for? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, I feel like there's 2 sides. There's like the star stock side where it's like, okay, like you can flip, young guys day to day after a game. And then there's also this, oh, this is a true art piece / investment side of high-end collectibles, supply and demand at its finest form. Like, I feel like that's like the 2 sides we have right now, especially where people are pouring their money into. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, what will the industry really be known for? Will it be kind of a mix of both?
Well, let me say that, Sasha, you are someone who in the last 2 years has become very ingrained in this hobby. And 2 weeks ago, you had a chance of buying a card that you really believed in for probably half of what it's worth today, 2 weeks ago, right? Now, if that card was being IPO'd at the price that you were being offered the card, but you didn't have the, let's just say 100K to buy the card, wouldn't you just like go to your bank account real quick and be like, well, I got 2K to buy shares?
Yes.
And then take that 2K and then know that you're buying in because the IPO is off, it's undervalued.
Yes.
And then flip it 2 weeks later and make 2K?
Yes.
Wouldn't you do that?
Yes.
Well, if you would do that, then why wouldn't other people that don't know as much, that just want a piece of a card and stuff like that, be willing to do it? I know I would. I know, like, there's some things I'm looking at on Rally and Collectible and stuff and saying like, okay, when that IPOs, I might just like grab some shares of it real quick. And like, I just think like it's something that could work. It's something I've doubted in the past. I don't know that it will, but it looks like we're moving there, and it looks like there's a ton of money being put into infrastructure to do it. And, when you have really smart people and a lot of money working together like that, I think that the upsides there and the chance that it fails probably diminishes a little bit. So I don't really know, but I know that it's interesting. I see it and I see opportunity for myself in it. So I hope that it is created in that way so that I can play in that game. Eric was talking about how he sees, fractional sharing being something that happens at card shows, where literally we're just trading stocks of cards and stuff like that at shows to like, to make deals happen and stuff. So it'd be kind of cool. It'd be very cool because, again, at the end of the day, sometimes we don't have like 100K lying around to buy a card. But if we own some shares in that card and we could use that as trade bait or something like that, if something came up, it'd be really cool to do. And then with the museum piece, it's like, yeah, some of these cards are so iconic, so beautiful. in hand, that it'd be really cool to see them like, in a museum setting and stuff like that. But then, obviously with the autos and everything, right? Like we were talking about somebody that might use their exquisite RPA to be showcased and stuff. And it's like with light glaring on the auto, like, do you really want to do that? So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question.
Real quick, Coleman, you said something very important word, infrastructure. Something I've noticed in the if anything in my career life, regular life outside of cards has showed me is that when infrastructure comes, you should follow that and trust it. There's a lot of infrastructure being put into the world of cards right now, whether it's with everybody's favorite product, Top Shot, whether it's collectible or Rally. but like, I'm being serious. Like that technology,
100%.
that technology, I don't like Top Shot. That technology, the fractional ownership technology, the funds that are coming into this, all of that stuff. When all of that comes and as it progresses, that's a very good sign for the thing. The idea of trading stocks at a card show is very funny to me. Right now, when you have these, by the way, I've never bought anything in a fractional setting, so I'm not totally sure how that works. You can only trade it in the windows that they decide, right?
I'm not really sure.
Or like the majority has to decide, like
right.
Rally, like
it's not an open marketplace in that way.
But I think if somebody's able to that's that open marketplace, bro. Like,
yeah, what I'm getting at is there's so much more to come in this space that taking advantage of these early opportunities, I think would be very prudent for anyone.
Well, and I think that's the thing, like with me, and I know Coleman, like all of us, like this is the time where it's like, bro, you should lock in that really, really high end thing, like work as hard as you can to be able to close it, because eventually it's, there's going to be other cards similar to that are just going to be products of fractional ownerships, like breaking down the card and selling it as shares. And then if you have a card similar to that or like high end like that, that's just going to increase the value exponentially. Right. So like this is the opportunity. This is a little bit of it's a small window we have here where it's like go make things happen, like, or else, you're going to be kind of left in the dust.
So to jump on that, just to use an example from my experience yesterday, this is basically what you're saying, Sasha. When that Luka Optic Blue PSA 10 came across the table, it's a card that I'm very aware about. I'm very aware what it might be worth and what people ask for it. And so I kind of had an idea of like where I wanted to be on it, if I can get it. And I'd be lying if I didn't say one of the variables in my decision to grab it was the fact that they're IPOing a Luka Prism Blue PSA 10 pretty soon here. And once that card goes public and you can buy shares of it and people like get turned on to that, that's probably going to make that card take another leap.
100%.
If that card takes a leap, then the people that own that card that need the optic for their collection or whatever, like I just see the potential there. So like what you're saying, like, absolutely. Like that's in the back of my head with some of these high end stuff is like, make your plays to try to grab that stuff if you can, because there's massive, massive potential there. Adam, the Real 27 guy, shout out Adam on Instagram, the Real 27 guy. He said this a couple months ago to me. And like, I quote it all the time, which is like, in most cases right now, to sell anything high end is like suicide.
Yeah.
And he said that a couple of months ago before we started seeing all these historic highs and stuff, because the money that's getting thrown around from funds and, fractional shares companies and, whichever celebrity or athlete that just wants it as a trophy, driving up the prices and stuff. So I'm not saying that the prices are going to continue to go up. There might be corrections and stuff might slow down. We're already seeing the Jordan Fleer and stuff, but anything high end right now, man, like people do not want to let it go because they're seeing it go up 20% in 2 weeks.
So like then we bring into play like I mentioned earlier, a company like Star Stock, which their whole theme is you can flip and trade players day to day, and you don't even have the card in hand. Like, do we like does a company like that, like, and I feel like a company like that in this market does extremely well, but like what happens like 10 years down the line? Like that's where I'm trying to like figure out.
I'm a believer that the hobby needs that as like a baseline and an entry point for people who are trying to build up capital to get into other things. Like Sasha, it's the way that you started. It's the way that I started. I'm not sure how Coleman and Shaya started, but like that's the way you do it. Like
Yeah.
you have to start from the bottom and grow. So like I used to say to people, because SashaT was the one who taught me this, to be honest, was raw to grade was the best way to make money. Right now, that's too expensive and it takes too long. I would imagine the best way to start from $100 is to go on StarStock and like just grind StarStock. If I had $100 today to start, I would 100% be going on StarStock and ComC and just flipping all day long. Literally every single day, I would make 20 trades if I could.
Some Serena cards.
Some Serena cards or like whatever. Like, yeah, I just think that stuff is so important, and that's why I get nervous. Not for the sake of my own stuff, just for the sake of the hobby in general. Is like I get nervous when people talk about like modern being irrelevant, because like that stuff's important.
I think it has to be relevant for this industry to keep growing.
And it's important because like a lot of kids who are going to get into cards, a lot of 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds who are going to get into cards aren't going to have the money, and that's how they're going to want to do it. The same way they trade tokens in fucking FIFA marketplace and shit like that. It's the same thing.
And Shaya, like right now for you, like I feel like you're going back and you're like, okay, like let me grind out these young stars. Let me see like what guy's going to be popping towards the playoffs. Do you see yourself like building that up and then getting into like something you really like? Like what's your kind of play right now?
I'm not even looking that far yet. Honestly.
You're just you're in it right now, trying to work.
Right now, I'm just gonna keep building, keep grinding what I think and I know will go up. I'm not going for prospective players like RJ Barrett and Kobe White. I'm going with established players, playoff contention, that I think will go up. In regards to a Grail, I think everyone knows here I was going after a Grail. Didn't pan out. It is what it is. I definitely do want to get a Grail in the future. I think it really depends on how the market is when I decide to cash out of these players, of these young stars, of these players that are in playoff contention. It depends. Is there another opportunity, whether that's in football maybe, because football would be fast, quickly approaching. It could be other NBA stars, or it could even be the GOATs, depending. No one knows where the market is going to be in 6 months to a year. So I don't know, but it's definitely in the back of my mind getting a Grail. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking too, Coleman, I don't know if you went outside yesterday and saw that line that was at that show. In my head last night, I was like, I wonder how many of those people are looking for like Grails and how many of those people are just looking for something cool to buy. And in my head, I was like, probably 70% of those people are looking for young guys that they can just buy because it's affordable. And then the other 30 may be looking for something super specific. And I think as we see, like, also, like, I was just amazed. First off, shout out Diamond 9 Sports for the show that they put on, because that was absolutely incredible how much demand there was in Southern California for a card show. And yeah, like I was just amazed to see that sort of demand. Shout out Vegas Dave, because I hope he saw that video of that show and the line that was there. Because I think I'm going to say this now, I think Southern California is the mecca of sports cards right now.
I would agree.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there's a ton of people that are looking for shows, and we've experienced that from people reaching out saying, hey, if you find out about any shows, let us know. And it's why we mentioned like whoever comes up with a Instagram for it is going to like have a presence, you know. And sure enough, like there's a couple that popped up in the show Locator. So shout out Donald at the show Locator on Instagram. He you know, is just pounding out content with shows, which is great. And I think it's working because we saw that line. I think that's got to be a variable. And then to address the Grail question, it's like, man, like the higher we get, our Grails get bigger. The, you know, like, and at a different level, there's different Grails. Like, you know, I was working a trade with the dude in Dallas, and like he was trading for my KD Topps 112 black PSA 9, and like that was his Grail. Like that was his Grail at the time, you know. So it's like, but I know what you mean. Like how many people are looking for like these big Grails? It's like, you know, that LeBron auto that you got from me yesterday, that could be a Grail, you know, like, and then
it is a Grail. That's a
Grail.
really good card.
Yeah. Like there's just an infinite level, but I think,
9.5.
You need a 9.5. We all need a 9.5. No one's letting them go. But yeah, so Oh, has Lou got one?
No. Keep talking.
Lou's got just a stash of LeBron autos right now. Bright blue.
No.
But yeah, anyway, I mean, you know, is a amazing show. I'm interested to see, because we got 2 shows coming up back to back here. So we got 3 shows back to back to back. That was the first one. We got 2 more coming up. I'm very interested to see what the demand is like for those shows.
I actually
We're going to have
think
similar.
I
I know
think the next show is going to be the biggest. I think.
Well, that'll be interesting, man. If both these shows, especially this one coming up, have the similar turnout to where the demand is there, that's very interesting for the Southern California sports cards market, I'd say.
I don't think people understand how big, like LA and Orange County. Like I don't think people understand how big it is here.
I'm so confused by that because you guys have been like not allowed to do anything as far as I understand it for the last like year.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the summer, like some shows came up because the regulations like kind of went away.
Right.
But all the shows are in Orange County. They're not in LA because I think LA's restriction is still.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So all the shows that you guys are seeing, like in the videos or whatever, they're all in Orange County.
Makes sense. Now I understand.
But also I want to get like, how important do you think shows are for the industry? Like, I think it's huge for me personally.
I think they are. Right this second, though, it's really hard. Like, I'm not sure how much I value the vibe of a room at a show at this exact moment.
I think shows are so important. With COVID, I haven't been able to go to shows. And because I haven't, I've realized how valuable those trade nights are at the bullpen, or the trade nights at Burbank, and like all the shows like the Trade Fest and all those. The amount of deals, the amount of connections. I met Sash at the Trade Fest or at a trade night at the bullpen. That's how I met Sash.
Mm.
So I think shows are just such an important piece. I can't wait if the national happens to see how crazy that is. That's just going to be, since the last time Coleman and I went to the one in Chicago, it's going to be ridiculous. And that was packed. I don't know how much more it could be, but it's definitely going to be more packed.
A lot more.
What are you guys excited for Dallas then? Because I can't wait. It's crazy Coleman too, because it's like show, Dallas.
Yeah, you guys have shows every weekend until Dallas, right?
Pretty much.
We're 4 weeks away from Dallas, right?
Yep. So we got 2 more
Crazy.
shows, and then there's a 2-week gap, and then Dallas, and then Chantilly in April, and then
Chicago show.
In June.
And then
If Chicago's doing a show in June, they're definitely doing the national then, right?
Yeah, they're doing the national. When's the national? July or August or something?
28th
August.
July.
It's the last weekend of July. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this Dallas show is going to be out of control.
last Dallas show seemed
Last
out of
Dallas
control,
show was
but
out of control.
I also have the same feeling that this Dallas show is going to be
It's going to
crazy.
be so much crazier. It's going to
Like,
be so much crazier.
Because November was crazy. And then this one was crazy, January. So yeah, like, is March just going to be nuts? Like, Sasha and Lou, you guys have a better barometer, I think, on like how the build up. I mean, how much more it will build up, just because, like, you know, yeah, like you both
There's
think it's going to be even bigger.
There's going to be a lot of people there.
I think there's going to be a lot of more competition with making plays.
Yeah.
Because I think there's
The playmaking abilities are going to be restricted.
I think that there's going to be some homies that are going to pull up ready to rock. And I think Coleman, guys like me and you
Are just going to get dominated.
We have to be sharp. We got to be sharp. We got to make plays quick. Like, I'm telling you.
I'm going to get rocked, dude.
Thursday night is going to be like the play because no one's going to get there till Friday.
Yeah, like Coleman, for me and you, Thursday, that dealer night, extremely important.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I already booked my flight, so hopefully I'm getting in town at a decent time.
Well, and from what you told me, like last in November, dealer night wasn't really like popping.
It wasn't.
But when I went, like I walked in and it's like there's already people, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a night and day comparison between November and January dealer night.
So I think the one competitive, and again, Coleman, you said this, I don't know if it was last show or the show before, it's almost like a game, like a sports like game, like you're getting prepped and ready like for a show, like, you know what I mean? I think the one thing that could work in our favor is the connections that we have, and we know who's got certain cards. And one of the beauties about that is like a lot of times, like people only want to give up cards to certain, like they don't want to, like if they sell a card and somebody offers them the same, like if Lou and a random dude offered the same price, but the guy knows Lou, like of course he's going to go with Lou. So I think that's like some sort of competitive advantage that
Absolutely. Hashtag cultivating relationships.
hashtag cultivating relationships. I think that's one of the beauties, but I do think it's going to be tough in Dallas with people coming in strapped and ready to go.
I mean, that's the thing though, is like, I think people get confused that there's not enough opportunity for everybody. And like on some level, maybe, but like if you have the knowledge and you've put any work into this, there's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of food to go around for everybody. So
I think that you're right in terms of like the more like mid-level cards, like bro, like Coleman, you had the show yesterday, like you were just putting in work, you know what I mean? Like I think if you're going after the high-end stuff that, you know, there's only going to be like maybe 5, 6, 7 of those cards in the room. Now it's going to be really tough.
right. In any dominance hierarchy, the very top is the most competitive and the hardest to, you know, break. So yeah, I mean, like for high end, yeah, absolutely. Get ready for competition. But again, that's where the knowledge comes into play. Like Lou was talking about like 30, 40, $50,000 cards and like being able to figure out what the value might be, what you're comfortable in with, like, and stuff like that. If you have the knowledge of a private sale or something or this, that, the other, to where you're comfortable when he's, you know, when it's a $30,000 card and one guy's off like asking 45 and another guy's asking 30, but nobody knows what it's actually worth, but you know for sure it's worth 30, and you can just make that play and jump on it before anybody else like can mull it over and think about it. That's your advantage, you know? So, I mean, yeah, it's highly competitive. Absolutely.
Did my mic go out? It went out, right?
It went out
Yeah,
a little bit, but you're back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, cool.
They wanted you to not be able
Yeah,
to.
it was Shaya. Shaya was cutting me out.
Exactly.
Wait, real quick. What I wanted to say on that.
Yeah.
That's why I don't. All kidding aside, that's why I'm confused by Shaya, because Shaya knows, and he's not doing it.
Shaya's sticking to his gut, man.
But he knows, like he knows the answers. He knows the answers to the test, and he's still getting a B on the test.
Maybe a C- right now.
You guys know better than me. I said it's a B. See, Shaya, always remember, I respected you here, and Sasha didn't.
Yeah. What's new?
I mean, I think that Shaya is sticking to his gut. Like he thinks that. I do think though, if Shaya came again, like we talked about, I think if Shaya came to that show yesterday, he would have changed his mind very quickly, because he would have been there and saw that demand. Like I think it changes you once you see like somebody walk up and is like willing to spend $40,000.
I think too, like when you're at a show and too, like you could go into a show with a bunch of money and say, I'm not buying anything, I'm just looking around. And then I'm telling you, you come out of a show with cards.
I am the prime example of what you're talking about, Sash. My entire perspective changed on Saturday of the Dallas show.
Yeah, I was talking to Lou for weeks prior, telling him about
Kobe autos.
Was it Kobe autos? And like it wasn't clicking, and then he comes to the show and it's just like he's in it and he's like
I was like, oh,
now that makes sense.
I understand. Yep.
So I think Shaya, or we're all just three of us are completely wrong, and Shaya just comes out and like buys
Shaya's the king.
buys LeBron Chrome 10s at like 10K and just like, let's go. Like that could be a very intriguing possibility too. What you thinking, Shaya?
I say we wait and see. Let's see what Shaya got cooking in a couple weeks.
I said Donovan Mitchell before, and Shaya got very defensive very fast. So
Shaya
there's
likes
something
Donovan
going on.
Shia
There's something going on with Donovan Mitchell and Shaya.
What you
I don't know what it
scheming?
is.
Do you think Donovan Mitchell's a buy?
Oh, there is something. I was kind of kidding.
No, I've actually been looking for Donovan. I think Donovan is criminally underrated. They're 21-5.
I don't get it. And he's like their star player, right?
His Prism PSA 10s were like 350 a couple weeks ago. They're like 400 now.
They've been winning without him though. Like he's not the reason why that team is so good. They have
Understood.
incredible shooters.
They do. But
Mike
Donovan
Conley
is
is
the
playing
leader.
on a
for
different
that
But
team.
also remember when people were so high on Jamal Murray, and I was just like, what is going on here?
I don't compare Jamal to Donovan, please. I think Donovan-
People were comparing them over the summer, right?
What?
People were comparing them like during playoff time.
Yeah, that was the homie G Roy.
Oh, Roy was actually at the show yesterday too.
Really? He was probably making plays.
But it was funny at the show yesterday. Coleman forced my hand on that LeBron auto, which was kind of sucked.
I didn't force your hand, dude. You
The
started.
market forced my
You were
hand.
feeling the heat, dog.
So a little background: on Friday, me, Coleman, and Shaya were like all like had like a mini, I don't know, like trade thing. Exclusive. And Coleman pulls out his LeBron auto 8.5, and we were trying to work a trade, but things didn't happen. But Coleman gave me 48 hours. He said, "Look, if you want to pay $20,000 for this card, I'll give you that. Like, I'll let you do that for 48 hours, like whenever like you want to do it." I was like, "Okay, cool." I go to Burbank, planning to just cash out on some stuff and give Coleman some money, and I ended up getting a LeBron Chrome 10. And then the next morning, I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna like wait this thing out. But then somebody walks up to Coleman's table and goes, "Hey, I see that LeBron auto." He's like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, it's not really for sale." It's like, "I'll give you $20,000 cash right now for it." The first 20 minutes of the show, and I'm just like looking, and I'm like, fuck. And then Coleman's like, like it's kind of already sold. Like I gave my homie 48 hours, and the guy's like, "Who's the homie?" And he's like, just a homie. And so meanwhile, I'm literally going into my bag and just like pulling out like 20K. By the time Coleman turns around, the guy leaves. I just hand him 20K. So he forced my hand, but I'm glad I picked up that 8.5.
How do you feel about Kobe autos right now, Sash? And
I moved a lot of my Kobe autos
because the prices got too crazy.
because I moved all my mid-level Kobe autos.
Like the spotlight and all that other shit that you were
I
showing.
moved it. Yeah. I got my high end. I really believe in the exquisites. Like I really, really believe in that. And I moved a lot of autos. I moved some of my autos for the LeBron Refractor 9. I moved some of my autos into the LeBron Chrome 10. And I moved, I just moved it into other things that I can, reinvest. Like I move a lot of shit. So I think the mid-level is a good flip. Like if you go to a show and somebody doesn't know what it's worth and you know what it's worth, boom, 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 like flip it all day. But I use that and then I put it into like the high-end stuff that I really believe in. I still think it's a great play and you can make a lot of money off it. Like at that show, Coleman, you saw like a lot of people came out with Kobe autos and they don't know the price. So if you're able to really educate yourself on that market, you can make quite a bit of money doing that.
Yeah, but it's a language for sure. Kobe
Yeah,
autos.
and like I'm still learning like a ton. Like there's so much to learn. Like
that's how I feel about LeBron. There's a gazillion different LeBron autos. It's insane. There's a million different patches. There's a million different upper deck sets, and like trying to figure out which ones are actually the good ones and why is very, very interesting.
Absolutely.
And if you're able to educate yourself on that market, walk into a Dallas show or a local show, like you kill it. It's just like people don't understand. Like you can't just walk in and know. Like you have like it takes time to like learn that market. I mean,
I wonder if people are going to walk into that show because I have a very distinct memory of looking at a Jordan Sticker 9 for 23K. Guy had a price on a 23K, and the last one was 16K on eBay. And I was like, there's no way I'm giving this guy 23K. And then literally like 72 hours later, it was a $25,000 card. So I wonder if people are going to walk into that show with their stickers really, really high again, and if that works out. Because the reputation of that show from like 4 or 5 people that I talked to was like, yeah, everyone's really high.
Yeah,
but it turns out that they weren't.
That's like for like you. There's also the thing where like you need to be able to know the people who are actually willing there to deal, and the people that are just putting their stuff out to like have a good time with their buddies.
Yeah, but like, do you think if I would have went to that guy at 20, do you know who I'm talking about or no? He was the guy who had the Fleer box as well.
Yes.
There was a guy who had a Fleer box and a bunch of like higher end, what Coleman would not call vintage, but I would call vintage. And like he had his thing for 23. And I was wondering if I would have walked up to him and been like, hey, I'll give you 20, what he would have said.
Talking about Dallas, right?
Talking about Dallas, yeah.
You got to think he would have taken it.
I
you got to think that the 23. I mean, you think if a price is that high at 23, he's putting 23. So if someone says, "Would you take 20?" It's like a no-brainer for him.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? Maybe, I mean, again, some of these dudes, they bring the same cards every show because their prices are so high, and they're just trying to get away from their freaking wife. You know, they're just trying to like get
Yeah,
it,
that's
get away
fair.
for a second.
That's fair.
I know that guy dealt that Fleer box, so I would be assuming that he would
Yeah.
have been willing to.
Yeah, but I just wonder if people are not gonna. Because here's the other thing I'm worried about. I'm worried about walking into that show and making a play really, really fast because I don't want to miss out on something, and then it doesn't. I don't want to get caught holding the bag. In the words of Shaya, I don't want to play hot potato on something that I'm not super uber confident in, which I guess is me talking to myself and saying that I need to make sure that I'm very confident in everything that I'm doing. You can't just like not blindly buy, but like be 60% sure or 70%
Yeah,
sure.
you
about something.
gotta. I guess you got to go in with the game plan. Like yesterday, I really didn't want to buy that LeBron auto at the beginning of the show. I didn't because, like, you know what I mean. But
You're tapping yourself.
but
I
I
didn't want to buy the Luca Blue Optic, but it
Yeah.
walked up, and I just knew in my heart like I need to get this card right
and that
now
was the same thing with me.
at whatever risk it takes for blowing my cash for the rest of this 3 hours or 4 hours I'm here.
Yeah, the other thing is when you get into this stuff, there's not as high a risk floor wise, I feel like. For something like that LeBron auto that you have. I feel like you're gonna be okay on that.
No,
matter
yeah,
what.
well, that's the reason. But like in terms of like look,
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost is the variable. Yeah.
and at the same time, I 100% agree. That's why I wanted the card. That's why I bought the card. But at the same time, like it's a like you're like you have a business. Like you have to be able to also, be profitable within the day, right? So like those are all the things that come into play. Like if I was just like some very wealthy person, and I had like $1 million
If
or 2 million, like I would go and just buy it high end and put it in a safe and go to sleep for 10 years.
yeah.
If you need 20K for the LeBron, just
I have $20,050 for you.
No 20s, no 50s. That's all. Or no 5s and no 10s.
Yeah, you're getting crushed for your 20s, huh? What's the deal?
20s are rough. I gave a lot of 20s to Shaya.
You gave me a lot of 20s.
And I gave a decent amount of 20s to Coleman too.
and 10s and 5s.
And 10s and 5s.
10s and 5s.
I counted
man.
Some higher denomination
1,010.
Sash. Come on.
Wow.
All right, we're gonna end it there. I appreciate everybody coming on. I think that was a wonderful episode. Lou, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. I appreciate it. Or I guess it's Sunday afternoon where you're at. Shaya, thank you so much for coming on, brother. Coleman, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you got to make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you follow us on there. Tell a family member or a friend. That's what Shaya loves for me to say all the time about the show. And I will make sure to put Lou's Instagram page, his main Instagram page, Lou Geneux, and also his card page, card flipping. So you can go check him out as well, and as well as all the other guys here. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.